everyone, and welcome to Raising Voices. With me tonight are Julie and Junkshop, and guys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Okay. Hi, I'm Julie LaVoice from Wine and Reason and the as yet to be named Couple Stream, which I guess is its name now. And and I am on here. I talking with Jen because she's amazing. Uh, and I'm transsexual, and I've been what? No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
I'm
You're
pansexual.
you're pansexual, yeah.
Sorry. Lots of terms floating around in my brain, and it's also it's not very early, but I've only been up for about an hour, so I apologize.
It's okay.
Like, whoa, I did not expect that. There's some coming out happening. No, there's not. I'm
No,
I'm pansexual. I've been about it for a while. It's fine. Your turn. You please talk now.
Junkshop, tell us about
I'm
you.
gonna hide.
Hi, I'm Junkshop from the Junkshop Library channel. I'm pansexual and non-binary. Just came out about both of those relatively recently, and Jen invited me on with my lovely wife to talk.
Yep.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. It's lovely to have you on again because this, of course, isn't the first time you've been on my channel. You were on for both of you were on for the fundraiser for Angie, and
Yes.
and then of course Julie, you were on for the feminist stream, which was
Yes, that
an
was so much
absolute
fun.
amazing amount of fun, and I think we covered the topic pretty well for a bunch of amateurs.
Yeah, and I think we dispelled some myths, which is
I,
important.
I'm sure we did. Even if we didn't, we certainly enjoyed trying to.
Yeah, we did.
We did. We had a lot of fun. So yeah. So only recently, Junkshop, as those of us who know you, known you for a while and known on Twitter, it's only recently you've come out as being both non-binary. I'm assuming poly, you, well, to us is new, but I mean between the two of you, this is probably not as that side of it's not as new. Um,
Not
but what was it like? I mean, as a couple, because a lot of couples don't survive stuff like this. If one of the partners comes out as being a member of the trans community, that often destroys the relationship. So, what was it like for the two of you for that to come out? Were you anxious over talking about it, Junk Shop, and how did you take it, Julie?
Oh, I was very, very anxious about it. I I was anxious about finally figuring out what and who and what on earth was going on with me, and then trying to explain it to someone who married me as him. Uh, that was positively nerve wracking, and then the reaction came, and
it made so much sense. I was like, "Oh no, that's okay. That actually it was like playing not it was like playing Tetris in my head. Like all these pieces just fell right into place perfectly at the moment they said it. And now the only thing tripping me up is switching pronouns because we've known each other for over a decade. We've been married for a little over 5 years, and so I've been using the masculine pronoun and for so long with this person, and now I'm having to remember.
They
Nope, switch it over,
then
switch it over. It's okay.
it
But
it
yeah,
does take
it just
time
made
though.
perfect
I
sense.
mean, my experience for that was with most of my family. It probably took a good 8 to 12 months before they were comfortable, and I still have an uncle who slips, but that's got more to do with his age and that he's got a bit of dementia. So never name slippings. Always pronoun slippings, but I mean, I
Oh,
tend
that's
to.
nice.
I ignore that with him because I'm like, it is what it is, and he can't help it. He's not. It's not deliberate. It's not being rude to me or anything. If it happens from other people, given that a lot of people, given that most people never, aside from family and a few close friends, never knew me before, I'm like, yeah, no, you can fuck off. If you didn't know me
Yeah,
before, you've
fair.
got no fucking excuse. I'm terribly sorry. um, and if it's family, it's like, you what? And normally it's like, the thing is, as a trans person, if you become very, very aware of misgenderings to the point that a cis person would not become aware of it. Because misgenderings actually happen all the time. People accidentally misgender with no cause, no real reason for it at all, because our brains are stupid all the time. They really do. They do it not maliciously. They just do it. I myself are intimately aware if I accidentally misgender somebody, and it's an accident. It legitimately is. That's not even normally to a trans person, because normally you're way too self-conscious to do that to another trans person. It's normally to a cis person, and you're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
And because you're so aware of it.
Yeah.
But most cis
The
people,
only
it's just like,
stranger-
why does it matter? Because we ignore it when
No.
it happens, because it doesn't mean anything to a cis person when it happens. So
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
accidentally
talking over my
misgendered
guests.
a cis teenager once who was a customer at a cafe where I worked, and I felt really bad. He was like, I'm a guy," and I was like, "I'm sorry, you're like teen and no facial
it can be
hair
hard to
and
tell.
long hair," and I was going off all of the, the old school, the programming, basically the gender this, gender, it was not my best day. I wasn't happy about it, especially
Yeah.
since he was a teenager. I felt extra bad.
Oh
'Cause,
yeah, and some people do
teenagers,
get upset about it, but most cis people are like,
you don't want to hurt.
no, it's whatever. Well, it's what it is, you know. But even to the point of people your brain will just sometimes go, say, mix up the he's and she's, and there's no rhyme nor reason, or mix up names. The number of times I've gone to people I've known for years, go, Fred, Bob, Julie, fuck, what's your name? Sort of things. Just because my brain's gone off somewhere that's. So it's sometimes something that we as trans people forget about, that not all misgenderings are intentional. Not all of them are even mistakes, in the sense that, we're not used to calling you like this. No, sometimes it's just the fact that people screw that up. They just do. Our brains are fallible and we fuck things up. So I'm a firm believer in that there's a level of tolerance that needs to be given, but it's only to a certain point in tolerance. Like, you shouldn't just grin and bear it forever. It's not the thing. When somebody comes out, it's like, to start off with, I think there is a bit of grin and bearing, but once you're a few weeks, a month in, you're like, yeah, now I'm reminding. But you remind nicely, because these are your family, your loved ones, and stuff like that, and gentle reminders can work. If 6 months in they're not listening, you're going, hang on a second. That's when you're probably okay to do the lecture. It's like, hey, come on, how about a bit of respect here? Because you're not even making no freaking effort.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. It's
Pay
about
attention.
yeah.
Yes,
and it's
pay
about
attention
respect,
to me.
I'm trying. Yeah, every I have a friend that I've known for years who's non-binary, but who I met as she, right? And so that's when I mess up, is if it's somebody that I knew for a while, and then they discovered something about themselves, and I'm playing catch up and switching it over in my head, and so they are very patient with me.
Yeah.
When on the rare occasions that I screw up and say to their partner, hey, can you get her a refill? And it's like, fuck, it's not her, it's they. I'm sorry, and then I'll just say the name, and then I feel weird because I've made it weird. you know.
I generally don't have problems with the they thems now. It took me a while though. Even as a trans person, the first time I encountered it, I was like, "Oh my god, this is going to be so hard to do." But it's actually not. It's just getting your brain to go in the right orders to go. Okay, you've got to
Yeah,
get
and
it
I
that
don't
way.
know.
The biggest problem is when you're seeing a person presenting a way that they are, and your brain wants to go instantly to he, him, or she, her. And
Right.
it can be quite hard to break that cycle and go, okay, I know what this person's pronoun is, I use it. If it won't come to my mind straight off, I will go with a name if I can remember it, because I'm dreadful with names. So
There you go.
it is, yeah. Yeah, why can't I be good at names? It'd make life so much easier. See, that's why I've got your names above you on here, so I can see who you. Although they're the wrong way around, I've just realised. So.
Oh, really? Oh no.
Yeah, so you're under each other's names, so yeah, people will figure it out. I think they'll figure it out. But yeah, it's the pronoun thing is a task for, I think, for anyone. I mean, even if you are a trans person who's had to deal with it yourself, and you have another friend who comes out and starts transitioning, you still have to learn for that person, and you have to go through all the same things. It's probably easier for us because we have that experience and that understanding of it, and for that reason we try harder. But it still happens. We still make mistakes. We are not perfect, any of us. And being accepting of that, a little tolerant, but ultimately standing up for who we are, because you can be tolerant to the point where you're being ground into the dust, and no one deserves that.
Yeah,
There
no,
is
they don't.
there is definitely a
and
balance there, and you should be riding that balance.
yeah, and I think it's important for those of us in relationships with um, non-binary people or with trans people. Like, I think it's even more important because if I went around, if I went when you told me this, if I had just been like okay, and then ignored it and not used they and had continued to use all the masculine terms with you, that would have hurt you, I think, a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't want to do that because
and you
Well,
haven't.
I feel like I
it's
love
about
you.
caring about the people around you. See, if you're friends with those people, or your family, or
Mm.
whatever else, you care about those people to the point that it doesn't hurt you to change your language, but it definitely hurts them to get it wrong.
Yeah, and maybe to put it in terms for people who aren't uh who are closer to one end or the other of a gender spectrum of the
Yeah.
gender spectrum, um, you know, how would you feel if somebody didn't accept something very basic about your identity, something that at the core
Yeah.
of your identity, think of it that way, and I there was a great example of a teacher once who was trying to teach students to write with non-exclusory language,
Yeah.
to not use, because I don't know about you, Jim, but when I was a small child growing up, we were taught that the general singular pronoun, if you did if you were just talking about a human being in general and it didn't apply to an actual person, to use he for everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of older documents are written that way. And I gotta say, as somebody who identifies as a woman, it
It's
makes you feel
sexist.
like it doesn't apply to you. Like, I'm
It
like, all right,
does.
well.
I mean, it would, as far as I'm concerned, any documents that are written that are apply to both genders should be written as they them, always,
Thank you.
because that
Yeah,
applies to men, women, and non-binary people instantly.
everybody.
I know there's some non-binary people who don't use they them, but you're not
Mhm.
excluding them by writing a general document as they them. And it's not hard to do. It's not hard to be inclusive,
No,
and being inclusive is not being discriminatory, not in
no,
any
it's not.
way. Opening up and making yourself inclusive to other people hurts you nothing,
Yeah.
but it gives a lot of relief to the person you're including, and it stops them feeling that discrimination that can be a big part of who they are. So yeah, these things are really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And to illustrate that point, this that teacher that was being quoted in this thing that I read forever and a day ago, I
Yeah.
can't cite it. It was written of a student who identified as male was writing about it. and he'd never thought of it, about it because he was a he, so it didn't weird him out to see that everywhere. And so for a week, she addressed all of the students in class with female pronouns. And he said after like 2 days of that, he was like, "Nope, I get it. This is weird. I don't like it,"
Yeah.
because he felt excluded. And he was like, "I get it. Non-exclusory language is good."
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really the way that the language has to go, and the language was the other way because and I'm going to go back to our feminist stuff because society was so heavily patriarchal
Hmm.
before, so it was literally a man's world, and that has slowly changed through feminism and through LGBT rights and that. But there's still a
Yes.
long way to go, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize that whilst in many ways we have equality, in lots of other ways there is not, and that it's that systemic inequality that's there. It's the old ideas that are sitting there in the minds, especially of older generation. And I should probably be careful about saying that because I'm getting pretty close to them. But but
I know.
there is that. But even myself, I knew that coming back into this community when I did, there was a lot of things, especially about non-binary people, that even I as a trans woman didn't know. I was ignorant of a lot of things. Shay, who's in the chat at the moment and is actually going to be my guest on the next one of these, just posted a thing that singular they them has been around for hundreds of years. A lot of the rhetoric from the right has muddied the waters around this. Yeah, Shay is quite right. But it's not just from the right. It's a patriarchal thing.
Yes. And
It's very much at the core of the patriarchy, and I hate using that word that way, but it is the truth. So yeah. Oh, can't hear you, Julie.
true, though.
Oh, no,
That's accurate.
Yeah.
It's accurate. I don't think you're insulting anyone by saying that. That is absolutely. Oh, I don't know what happened.
Were we frozen, or do we just have no audio?
Yeah, you went roboty for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Something that sometimes works. Okay, did that help at all?
Well, I can hear you,
Sometimes
but I
it's
don't know if we'd lagged or anything. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, say. Yeah,
Can you
we can
hear
hear
me?
you.
Okay, so that seems pretty good. Yep.
Okay. It's apparently we've got crappy bandwidth, and that's part of our problem.
Yeah. Yes, you
So
guys have
we
struggled with
know our
this.
lovely faces, and now you're just going to have to make do with our lovely voices.
You have lovely voices, so it's good.
Thank you. Thank
So-
you. It takes 20 years of cigarettes and whiskey to get this voice.
Oh, but it's
That's the
husky
thing.
and beautiful, so yeah.
Ah. Okay, now I'm blushing. I'm glad no one can see me.
So we were talking about you guys though, not the trans community in general. So yeah, you had this thing. You had this thing. You had this situation come at you, Julie, and you're like, yes, that makes sense, and it's been an adjustment for you, but possibly not as big an adjustment as Junkshop thought it was going to be. Are you
Yeah.
seeing more difficulties with other members of the family and things like that down the road? Is this something that's
Well,
Well, as far as that goes, we've kept the family out of this. Hadn't broken it to them yet, except for my brother, who is significantly younger than I, and by far the most worldly and understanding of, certainly of my family.
I think of all of our family.
Most of our family members are a little old, a little set in their ways, and a little,
yeah.
well, old
Well, let me put it this way.
and religious.
Very religious, and my mom has dementia. So so she called me 4 times this week to ask me what my address was, and we've lived in the same place for 7 years. So there's that. I think for her going from, and she adores Junkshop, like, and she absolutely thinks of him. Sorry, I just did it because I was thinking about mom as her son-in-law. And I think for her, just trying to, I don't think we sat down and talked about it. Junk Shop and I sat down and talked about it. And I said, I don't know how to explain non-binary to my parents. I will absolutely try, and we can try. And then what did you say? We were talking about that.
Honestly, with most of our family members, I just don't know that it's worth it at this point. I've been not wearing skirts and going by he around them for so long that to try to drag them through that paradigm shift, I don't know if I have the spoons for that. So we're holding off on that.
Wait and see what you get.
For the moment. I do want to put out there though, because we talked about this too. That I think we did. I hope we did. If I'm saying this to you for the first time, I apologize.
Let's find out.
All right. So I do want to put out there though that I think at some point it's probably gonna hit a place where you're gonna feel the need to not be misgendered at every family gathering.
That's entirely possible.
And when that happens, like I'm there for it. It's gonna be okay. And if they can't deal with it, they can fuck off. Honestly, I'm so tired being around. I love my family so much, and they're beautiful, lovely people. Except it's God, 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 Jesus, Jesus, God, God, Jesus, God. Never fucking stops, and it just, we already feel out like outsiders. We already feel isolated, and it's just, they all know we're atheists except for my mom and dad, who are 77, and my mom has dementia. So I'm not putting them through that because it would just cause them so much pain. They would literally spend the last years of their life trying to save my soul, and I'm not doing that. I'd rather enjoy them while they're still here, and I'd rather them enjoy me while they still can, and then that'll be the end of it. But everybody else knows, and generally it's to accept every time they can. They slip in the, well, I'm praying for you or whatever, and it's exhausting. So just being around them as the only atheists in the room is so if they can't handle who my partner is, I'm not, that's the limit. That's where I'm like, you can fuck off. I'll put up with a lot, but you have to accept the love of my life for who they are. And I just got so mad at a future possible conversation that I'm tearing up. That's okay. I'm gonna stop now.
Sorry, Julie. Didn't mean to take you down that.
Woo. Oh, Jen, are you frozen?
No. Can you hear me?
Oh,
I think we've just got lag.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yep. You were saying?
Okay. I think this is our computer acting up again. What if we pop out and I'll try popping back in on my phone?
All right, no worries. I will keep the chat active for a little bit.
Okay.
Right.
Should be able to do this quickly. I'm sorry, y'all.
No. It's all good. Okay, whilst we wait for Julie and Junkshop to hop back in a second. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Brainbug, Godless Granny, Be Mindful, Joan, Neil. Hi, Neil. Paul, thank you for being here, Paul Camish. I realise that some of these things are quite difficult to get your head around if you're not used to it. Language can be a confusing thing for us. But the important thing is to try to be accepting and make people feel welcomed within communities by trying to respect their pronouns, their names, etc. Which isn't hard for us to do. It's just us learning to be a little bit respectful and to try a bit.
I know.
Oh,
Okay, got you. Hey,
Oh,
and you're back.
and we're back. We have returned from the great beyond.
Oh, and we've got Dave and Santi, and I think we've got a Mega Nuts in there and Grumpy Old Dude, and thank you guys for being all there. You are all absolutely awesome, and thank you for watching. And I have my guest back, which is even better.
thank you, twinsies. And hey, Dave.
Hi, Ed. Grumpy old dude.
Oh, hey.
Anybody I missed? We
Yeah.
still can't see the chat.
We can't,
Sorry.
but
Oh, that's
loved
okay.
everybody.
I was
Loved
just
all.
I was just answering Paul and Cameron in there, and
Oh, I thought.
yeah.
Ooh, and they can see my shirt now. Yay!
Okay, where were we? We were so brutally interrupted by the internet.
I was going off
We were
on
catastrophizing.
I was catastrophizing because I do that.
Yes, you were.
I was getting upset at a conversation that has not even happened yet.
And may not happen. But there is still the issue there for Junkshop that there's going to come a point in this as you more express yourself and become more comfortable with yourself, that it's going to be uncomfortable for you when people use the wrong pronouns.
Yeah.
So
I suspect that will be the case.
Those
Yeah.
they thems, and I don't know if you're thinking of changing your name as part of all this, but I mean, there's going to be aspects of all that if you're going, and there's also the aspect that you go to a family gathering, Julie gets used to the new way of addressing you, gets used to your new pronouns and everything, and will mess up the other way around.
Yeah, and I'm scared of that too. I'm scared of outing them before they're ready, because I am the queen of misspeaking. I called myself transsexual instead of pansexual when we started this stream.
It's all right. We'd accept you. We'd accept a non-binary Julie. That's perfectly fine.
And that's such an I'm sorry, that's such an outdated term too. Anyway, okay. Moving on. Stop paying attention to it.
No, it's all good.
No, that is a good point, Jen. And frankly, I'm at a point in my life where I'm just sick of walking on glass around anybody. It's like I'm sorry of who I am. Like, I'm not actually. That was sarcastic, but I'm not sorry. Take me or leave me at this point. You either accept me for who I am, or move on. My lifestyle doesn't hurt you. Lifestyle. Who I am as a person doesn't hurt you. So, if you can't take it, if it bothers you so much, you can fuck off. It's fine. Go, you do you. Go be you elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because I can't.
You do you. Leave me to be me.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't have the energy for it anymore. I used to really tiptoe around my religious family members. I used to, and I never talked about, I never brought a girlfriend home. Because I did come out to my parents in probably the worst possible way. It was because Rush Limbaugh was being Rush Limbaugh on the radio in their car. Yeah. And I got angry and shouted, I have never given anyone HIV. Because that's what Rush Limbaugh was accusing people of my persuasion of. And my father laughed and he said, are you bisexual? And please remember, this was like 2001. I didn't know the word pansexual existed and didn't know I was pansexual at the time because I didn't know what that was. So I was identifying as bisexual and had since I was about 12 years old and had never told them. And I said, yes, I am. And he got really quiet. And my dad, that's when it's scary with my dad. Is he's a very ebullient. He's a very, very fun, affable, laid back person. So when he gets quiet, and he was clenching and unclenching his fists on the steering wheel and like showing the whites of his knuckles, and I was like, oh my God, he's angry. Fuck, I did not expect anger. I expected like maybe some church shame stuff, but I did not expect anger. And but they, moving on. It's like, it's not something we talk about, but they know about it, and I don't hide it anymore. If we're watching a movie together and I'm like, that actress is so hot, they don't comment, but they don't mind that I did. Or sometimes they'll be like, yeah, she is. Like that. So that was a great moment, actually. The first time I was like, oh, she is so beautiful, and my dad was like, yep. That was kind of a weird and also fantastic moment. But yeah, I don't, and so I just don't hide any of that stuff, because it's too hard. It's too hard to live a lie, and to remember like who you've come out to and who you haven't, and it's too much work. Life is too short. I'm sorry, I talk way too much. You should talk. That's a lot now.
That's something I'm trying to remember. The whole life is too short, and I should just go ahead and. It's funny. I feel inside my head the pressure going both ways. The pressure to just go ahead and come out to everybody, and the pressure to bide my time and take it on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
And of course, I've come out to the entire internet, but under a pseudonym. But
your face is
so
there.
I suppose I'm taking very large baby steps. I'm taking my baby steps in 7-league boots.
Well,
see, it was weird for me getting involved with the atheist skeptic community and the trans community on Twitter and that, because I had lived. When I was in my 20s, early to late 20s, I was very active in rights and stuff like that, because I was transitioning, and I was on the bandwagon for intersex and trans rights and stuff like that. When I got into my 30s and after I'd had surgery and I was in the position where I could just blend into the surroundings, and there was enough changes in the law that they supported where I was, I sort of did that, because it was a lot easier just to blend in than to constantly be out there. So I lived most of my post-op life what they would call stealth. I didn't deny it, but I didn't talk about it, except for the family and close friends. And then all of a sudden online I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to have to out myself, because I need to say things about stuff that's happening. And my voice is important too. So I felt that need to raise my voice and be part of the community. So it was a whole outing myself again issue for me, that it was actually kind of weird to go through. Granted, it was easier the second time, because I knew I was coming into a community that I wasn't necessarily going to be ostracized for. I did know it was going to make my life a bit harder outing myself, but I also was aware that the community knew enough trans people that I'd probably get outed anyway. It's easier to hide as a trans person if you're not surrounded by other trans people. It's true though. It's true though. A lot of trans people, when they go stealth, it's not about hiding from cis people. It's hiding from other trans people, because if you're in a group of trans people, the chances are people will clock that those people are trans. Somebody will get noted, and then they'll note everyone else. If you're on your own, it's less likely if you pass reasonably well. So being stealth is easier if you ignore other trans people and stay away from them. So being stealth, it hides yourself from other trans people and stops making you trans people visible, which has been a bad thing for trans people in general, and especially non-binary people. By binary trans people hiding themselves, non-binary people have had a harder time of it.
Yeah.
Because we can hide and non-binaries can't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm the one who talks too much, so don't be afraid.
I'm talking too much.
Cut that off. No, I was just gonna say it's tricky. It can be regional too. I don't think I told you this, but we went out. We had to make a supply run the other day, and Junkshop was wearing a skirt that is adorable. It's one of my favorites that he has. That you have. God damn it! All right, I'll get there.
They have.
Me running. All right. Anyway, the point is, so we're out, and we're out in Memphis, Tennessee, and someone who ostensibly looks male is wearing a skirt. And I wasn't nervous about them wearing a skirt because I that's awesome and cute and adorable to me. I was nervous for them because there are people here who would beat them up for that. Like that could so I was walking around, with them, and then you went into the pet store without me because this was still during lockdown, so I was like, the fewer people in there the better. And then the second you got out of the car, I was like, I should have gone with them. I feel because I don't know, I felt like I had to have your back just in case something weird happened. And I've never been in a fight in my life. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't even, again, I catastrophize.
But
I
that's
tend
what
to
you
think
do
of the
with
worst
somebody
possible
you love.
scenario.
That's what you do with someone you love. Even if you're putting yourself in danger, you'll do that for them because you love them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important.
But I wasn't about to tell them not to wear a skirt in public because I think that's I think it's
that's great.
cool, and I think you find it liberating. So is that true? Is that a fair characterization?
Now, of course, somebody who was a bit non-understanding would go, well, why don't you just wear a kilt? Because it's the same thing. That's not the point. It never is the point. Yeah. It's not about the skirt. It's about being yourself.
Yeah.
So, and people don't necessarily get that. They go, oh, no, you're just cross-dressing. Well, no, I'm correct dressing, and I'm being myself. I mean, I think I own 2 skirts, and I hardly ever wear them. It's not my thing. I'm a jeans and leggings girl through and through. That's the way I've been. I will own up that in my early 20s, when I first came out, I did a lot of catching up and wearing minis and stuff like that. But I was younger and I had the legs for it back then.
God.
I wouldn't want to show my legs now if I could avoid it.
Yeah, I haven't wanted to show my legs since I was about, I don't know, 23 maybe.
Besides that,
I'm
old enough now that I like winter because I don't have to shave my legs to go to the beach or anything like that. I can wear jeans all the time, and I can grow a forest and then shave it again in summer.
Yes, not shaving. Oh God.
It's lovely.
That's a whole other issue, but
it's the whole thing of I'm home. There's nobody I have to impress or anything like that. I'm taking my fucking bra off.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the first thing I do. There ends up being like a little cache of them behind the couch because when I come home from work, and that was the first thing that I took off, and I just toss it behind the couch and sit down. And then I have to collect them all and take them upstairs where they belong.
Well, that's how my bra ended up on there during a stream once because I fucking forgot where I threw it.
That's okay. I had a red lacy one on the back of the couch, and my brother gave us a surprise visit and came in, and I was like, okay, see this? I picked it up. I was like, this is why I tell you to call first. You have to at least text me before you come over. I don't have kids. I don't hide anything. All right, that's a different. I'm tangenting.
I'm enjoying the chat at the moment, people. I am kind of watching what people are saying as they go by. Like Jonas said, my legs are not the problem. It's my midsection. I have that problem too. I've got a little bit of weight still to lose to get down from the horrible amount of weight I used to have. Be mindful said that's why I avoided being around anyone who was LGBTQ because I didn't want anyone to know that I was closeted. And it's a common thing that when you are closeted or if you are in stealth as a trans person, staying away from other people of the same ilk is a great way to hide. But which is such an unfortunate thing because that shouldn't be necessary. There should be no need for it. People should just be accepted for who they are. There shouldn't be this judgment of society that a woman has to be this or she's not a woman. That is ridiculous. And the problem with that thinking is the people it hurts most aren't trans women. They're cis women. Because as soon as you start putting that pressure on society for women have to be an X way to conform, there's way more cis women who won't conform than trans women. So it's
Yep.
cis women who gets hurt. The whole the stupid bathroom thing arguments that people are having. The people who get hurt on majority are going to be cis women who don't quite look as cis as other people think they should.
Right.
And that's exactly
Thank
the
you.
point.
Yeah.
As don't look as X as other people think they should.
Exactly. So
Walk
if you're-
around with this
if
idea
you're
in
a
their
butch
head that they can
lesbian-
stencil, and everybody has to conform to this stencil that they've propped up in front of their eyes. And if you're not coloring exactly within those lines, you're somehow deviant.
Mhm.
It's
wrong.
racism in a different suit, basically.
Yeah. It's similar. It's very.
And I don't really
I think
want to go
it's-
down that analogy too much because it does upset people who have experienced racism, because there is slight differences in that if you wear your race through your skin, or whatever features are different for your race, then they are visible 24/7 and you cannot escape that. If you are part of LGBT, some people can blend and they can escape it, and it is different because of that. But not everyone can, and some people wear who they are right on their sleeve and they cop the shit for it, and it shouldn't happen.
No, but the reason I smiled when you said that is because those people are brave, and they're the ones out there trying to normalize it for the rest of us. Because the thing is, my whole life I've thought of myself as a tomboy, but when once you get into your 40s, that starts to sound real freaking weird. Like, I'm not a kid anymore, so why am I saying tomboy? And so I learned, and then I discovered through Andy the Fellows channel that there is a term gender queer, and all it means is someone who does not conform to traditional gender roles of their culture or their society. And I was like, oh, ding, 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 that's me. Hello. Right here.
Genderqueer, yeah.
But I can walk out in boots, jeans, and a t-shirt any day of the week, and nobody's going to accuse me of cross-dressing. Yeah. So why can't they walk out in boots and a skirt or whatever, and a skirt, and yet, I mean, here in the
because people are insecure in their own sexualities and their own genders. It tends to be the problem. Those people who are attacked people tend to be insecure in their own sexuality and or gender.
Yeah. Well, so, I've even got, I had a boyfriend once who had long hair, was identified as a man, was, but he had pretty hair, and he had long, just slightly below the shoulder length hair. And other men would actually, they do that shoulder check thing when they walk by you, where they hit you in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And he got that shit all the time because he had long hair. Luckily, he was also 6'5". And so all he would do is if someone did that, he'd stop and step in front of them and kind of cock his head like, really? You want to do this? And they would kind of usually meekly run off.
Yeah.
But it sucked. It was rough, like being, it made me sad, like, because we'd be out somewhere and then some troglodyte had to show off, I don't know how big he thinks his penis is or something by being weird about the guy with the long hair. I'm like, this is in the early 2000s. I'm like, how is this still a thing? The 60s happened. Y'all know that, right? Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing that gets me. When you look at people who carry through this bigotry, we've had 60 years since the 60s now, where we already pushed for this freedom of expression and freedom for all people and freedom of sexuality and gender, and people still haven't got it. It hasn't. It's taken more than one generation for this to get through and people to actually accept. And I want to lay a lot of that blame at fundamentalism. Not necessarily religion per se, but fundamentalism is certainly an issue there. The fundamentalist churches, especially in the US and certain fundamentalist people who think they're feminists, but I don't think really are. So certainly, I have tried to carry through these older ideals of what is a man and what is a woman and what is the right thing to do sexually, and it's disgusting. Can't you move on from the 50s, people? We don't
Yeah.
need to live back there. It was not better back then. I mean,
No,
maybe the
unless you were a
atmosphere
cis
was, but
white het male, no, it was not a good
And
time.
rich.
And rich. There we go. Yeah. Which is, yeah. So it was a great time for like this many people. And the rest of us were just screwed, essentially.
yeah. As Shay has said in the chat, a trans woman going into a men's bathroom is likely to get harassed by cis men or beaten or raped or whatever else. And a trans woman going into the women's bathroom is just as likely to get harassed or called a predator. Literally cannot win. But it's worse than that because the so-called feminists who are pushing that trans women can't be in women's bathrooms are also saying, oh, the trans men can come in here, and I'm like, hang on, your concern is that there might be some cis men who pretend to be trans women to get in the bathroom to abuse cis women. So you don't want trans women coming in, but you're really happy to let the trans men come in who look like men and who cis men would not have to do anything at all to their appearance to try and look like, and could just walk in the loo and go, I'm a trans man. Fuck. Where does this logic come from? There is no logic to this at all. It's pure bigotry hidden behind social concern, because there is no concern here. It's just bigotry.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also leads to some very the whole I don't get the bathroom issue at all. I don't know why people have a problem. It's stupid.
Bigotry.
But
it is just pure bigotry.
The side effect. I'm sorry. Am I yelling in your ear?
No.
Okay. The side effect of it is for well, at least I've heard several trans women speak about this, is that they'll try not to use the restroom when they're out in public because they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with any of any of those things that we just talked about. And I understand that, because they shouldn't have to. It shouldn't be a thing.
No,
and that can be very bad for you. So I just feel it makes me angry, and I don't like the idea that there are women out there who might be subjecting their bodies to unnecessary strain because they're scared to use a public restroom. That is ridiculous. What are we doing? Like,
and I'd
no
say
one
that's even worse if they're post-op, because as with any surgery that involves catheters and bladders and everything like that, there could be a little bit of incontinence for the trans woman post-surgery, and she has to deal with that, and now she's being in a position where maybe she can't go and use that loo, and she is no more a threat in any way than any cis woman, because she doesn't even have that penis that those silly idiots are worried about. But she could, if she doesn't look right for them to pass their little gauge, she may be too afraid to go in those toilets still, and that is ridiculous. This should not be a thing. No,
it shouldn't be a thing. I was actually, the first time I heard about it was when they were trying to make those bizarre laws, and didn't pass some in a couple of states, and that was the first I heard of it, and I was like, how is this a thing? How? But anyway, I've belabored that point, I think, but it just.
So, Junkshop, are you aside from obviously dressing more comfortably for yourself and they them pronouns, have you got any other plans in your transition?
Not particularly. Gave myself a haircut that I actually liked for no other reason than it was the one that I wanted. But no, I'm not planning on changing names or anything drastic. It's just an issue of
comfort.
dressing a little bit more like me a little more often,
And pronouns to feel more
And-
comfortable in yourself. Yeah, that makes sense.
you know, as long as I've noticed, I was always a little uncomfortable, and then in my late teens and early 20s, vastly uncomfortable with the manly man that men expected me to be.
Yeah.
And tried on different metaphorical hats, trying to figure out where in the world I was. And then, like I said, fairly recently, I just realized, oh, this non-binary thing that's what it is. That is the me. I am that. And within a week or so of realizing that, I came out to my wife, and then I came out online, and came out to my very close friends, and have had nothing but good reactions.
Yeah. Well, it
I've
tends
been
to be the
a
way
little
now. I mean,
overwhelmed by the amount of positivity that's come my way, both from people who know me and people who I only know online.
Can you say what your best friend said?
I don't remember it word for word.
Oh.
It was just this overwhelming flood of positivity and something about welcome.
Yeah. and I think they said something like, okay, what pronoun do you want me to use now? It was like the most like
yeah,
it was almost blasé and like
yeah,
I'm
whatever.
not shocked.
But I mean,
great.
a lot of people have come around to that way of thinking and that level of acceptance of people, but not enough for there to
Not
be.
enough.
Yeah, not
So-
enough. It needs to be more. One of the things I was actually going to point out was if you're with a trans person or a non-binary person, and because you're an ally to them or a friend to them, and somebody does misgender them, as a cis person, get in first and correct the person who misgenders them. Because that takes the onus off them. It stops them looking like an ass for insisting people gender them correctly.
Nice.
And oddly enough, cis people who get confronted by other cis peoples about using pronouns wrong will often correct themselves. If they're confronted by a trans person about it, they'll get all uppity about it. So you can actually help protect a trans person just in that little tiny action. And it's a little thing, but it's a big thing to the trans person.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Definitely.
I meant to say it earlier, and I just got reminded.
Oh, no, that is important. And that's a good point.
What, you mean you weren't able to stick to exactly the order of what you wanted to talk about with us in the stream?
Did I?
You mean there were tangents that happened? Heaven forfend.
Tangents
Yeah,
are
this is all
good.
completely
Tangents are
scripted.
good. I wouldn't have shows if there wasn't tangents. Well, not very
Yeah, but
long shows anyway.
They're such good tangents, though.
We do. And I like to think these sort of tangents will be something that will be common on the show because, like I said, I want it to lift people's voices. And in the scheme of that, well, let's not just talk about LGBT stuff. Let's talk about some of the other stuff you guys do, because you talk a lot about atheist stuff and being irreligious. You also try to lift people's insights into those issues, as well as rights issues and stuff like that. So, do you want to talk a bit about that side of what you guys do?
Well, she relatively recently, within the last couple of years or so, has made a lot of contacts and watched a lot of content from people in the ex-Muslim community, and I've gotten sort of marginally plugged into that because of that, and because of some friends online. I'm sure everybody who's here and watching knows about the International Association of Atheists, official Mubarak Bala, who's being held in Nigeria on blasphemy charges. There's a lot of us online who are trying to stir up a stink about that.
Yeah, the hashtag is hashtag free Mubarak Mubarak Bala. Jeez, I cannot talk. Good.
Yeah.
Remember that the links for Julie's and Junkshop's channels and their Twitter are down below in the description. Please follow, at least follow them on Twitter so you know when they're making new content and to learn about these things. And Dave's just popped it in the chat as well. Dave, you're amazing. I don't know what any of us would do without you. Follow Dave too, especially for his critical questions. The show is fantastic, and you get to meet, occasionally meet new talent. It seems to be the same panel on way too often. She says, realizing that she could have just lost her spot on the very next show for saying that. But I'm fine with that. I'm fine with not being on if it means we're bringing somebody new in to contribute, because I want contributions from the community. I am so proud every time someone new in the community lifts up their voice, whether it's on Twitter or in creating a YouTube channel and getting their thing out there, because it is so hard to do at the beginning. It really is. And when I started, I had the help of lovely people like Jay from Nevermore Tavern, Navadia, Not Your Witness, and even bigger people like Godless Engineer and Shannon Q, who are absolutely amazing people. So if I can't, even at my own small level of followership, can't give some of that back to the community, I don't think I'm being a good member of that community.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
I completely agree.
And that's why
whenever I encounter some small channel that intersects with any of the various communities into which I am plugged, I try to shill it out as much as I can. When Mr. Bear first got started,
I love Mr. Bear.
He had 8 subscribers at the time, and YouTube just randomly recommended him to me. Because every once in a while the algorithm actually does its job.
Exactly.
I was like, this shit is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Now my brain is just flooding with people, but I immediately went from Mr. Bear to Bad Tempered Badger because of anthropomorphic animals are awesome. I don't know. I officially have a crush on Badger's voice. Just on the voice. It's very nice.
No, Badger's lovely, and so is Mr. Bear. So, we've got a few anthropomorphic. Oh god, my mouth won't work.
You man, mine neither.
Makes it really hard to give a blowjob when your mouth won't work.
I have TMJ. We can talk about that.
It's an hour in. We're an hour in before I got there.
At least it happened after high school. The TMJ, I mean.
Yeah. But, I mean, you guys are lovely. I absolutely love you to bits. It's always great to talk to either of you.
We love you back. I didn't know how long you wanted to go. I had one other thing.
I'm not sure. I'm kind of thinking we might have organically come to close to the end, unless you've got some stuff you guys want to add, aside from chilling out more about what you guys do, which I really want you to do. Like, what have you got coming up?
Coming up. No, we have a thing. Oh, okay. Tomorrow we're gonna be on a bit of tea in Danish. Linda, on her show TMI.
Cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
So we'll be on TMI, and
Linda's lovely. Yeah.
And right after that, something important is happening. What is happening? Oh, right after that,
Well, Thursday we'll have the as yet unnamed couples stream.
Yeah, the as yet unnamed couples stream, which we're moving up a few hours in the day so that some of our friends elsewhere can actually see it, because and we tend to have better bandwidth if it's a little earlier, which is why I'm a little annoyed that this went out. It's normally okay, but anyway, So it's going to be after a bit of T and Danish's TMI show. We'll do our couple stream. And I can't tease what that's going to be about because we're not sure yet. But I will say it's not going to be about the virus. We're not. We're just taking a break from the virus
managed
tomorrow.
to stay off that topic tonight, which I think is absolutely brilliant.
I think we all needed a break.
We need a break from that. And this has been a fun conversation. And you guys are amazing. Anyone in the chat who isn't already subscribed to Junkshop and Julie, please go and do that. Please go and follow them on Twitter. Please show them all the love because they are absolutely amazing people and I love them to bits and you should be following them.
Yes, please.
If I can just shill my schedule real quick. I know we're coming to the end of the hour.
Yep.
At 2:00, so that's in 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 hours from now, I'll have my next improv Bible study. I'm trying to stick to a schedule to keep myself honest and keep the content flowing. So I'm going Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2:00 Central, and we're going to be starting 2 Kings today.
Oh, brilliant.
And then on the 22nd of this month, also at 2 p.m. Central, I'll be on David Worley's show. And I'm very, very, very excited about that.
I'm super excited for you.
All right. I'm going to let people know a little bit about what I'm doing over the next couple of days. Tomorrow night, I think it's at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, but please don't quote me on that because my brain's got a dead spot as about what time this show is. But it'll be on my Twitter feed. If you follow me on Twitter, it'll show up on my channel because the first one of them's actually on my channel. Jen Aldrich and I are starting our new show, The Jen Perspective. We have Neil the 604 Atheist on as our very first guest because it's entirely Neil's fault that this show is happening. We entirely blame him. So please tune into that and catch Jen and I. The show will not be safe for work. I will guarantee it right now. It will not be safe for work. I have been fairly mild on here, but with given that this is Jen Aldrich, and her and I have a very similar sense of humor, and we are both absolutely over the top. Yeah, it's not going to be clean. Warning to everybody. Neil's claiming innocence, and it's not his fault. Of course, on Friday night, you'll be able to catch me on Atheist Pastor's channel on Friday night 6-pack. Where it's girls' night, and Mumra Atheist, myself, and Lissy Lou are taking over the channel, and we're going to have a bit of fun over there. I think Chris has got it wrong about exactly what we're doing, but hey, I've been a little bit out of the picture with the organisation on it because my pernicious anemia has been playing up, and I've been sleeping like 12 hours a day, so So that's not been fun. There should be a debunking video out on the weekend from me. And then on Saturday night, I think it's at 9 Eastern Standard Time, Mumra Atheist and myself putting on a Let's Kick Ray Comfort in the Booty stream. So that should be a lot of fun. We did one on Ken Hovind, and now we're doing Ray Comfort, and we are so looking forward to it, and it's nice for the two of us to be doing something together again after taking a bit of a break. So please.
And if ever there was a man who deserved a good kick in the tush.
Oh, it's definitely him, isn't it?
Yes.
I want one of those really big bananas and smack him around the head with it.
I wasn't sure where that sentence was going. Banana makes much more sense.
In his little thing, one of his little things that he did, where he went around and harassed college students about abortion. There was a young lady named Adriana that he was interviewing, and she was just
just wasn't having it.
Just wasn't having any of it. And he said, well, and she said, I had an abortion, and it was because I care about my education, and when I do have children, I want to be able to provide for them.
Well,
and he was like, and do you feel bad about that? And she was like, no. So one of our goldfish is named Adriana after that young lady.
In honor
because
of
she-
this
Good on her for
fantastic
standing
woman.
up to him, because I'm like, I am all for body autonomy. It is the woman's choice. If it was me, I wouldn't go down the route of abortion unless it was like the child's not going to survive anyway, or I might not survive. That to me is the only reasonable reasons for or abortion, but that's me.
Yeah.
I would not impose my personal belief on that on somebody else. It's their body, their choice. Stay the fuck away from people's choices to their own bodies.
and that's
They
the
have
point.
enough struggle
That
with
was-
these things without you being bastards to them, basically.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah.
Please leave the clinics alone.
Yeah,
Leave
them alone. Leave them alone.
them alone. Most people are. I mean, anyway, it doesn't matter. The
Yes,
clinic here does prenatal
rape
care
as well, Robert.
so,
Yes.
you don't know what they're there for.
Yeah, if there's a psychological reason why you cannot deal with this pregnancy, like if the pregnancy is a product of rape, or if you've got a chronic depression and you cannot just cope with the pregnancy, that's justifiable as well. Yeah, there are other extenuating circumstances. Yes, I fully agree there. But
For sure.
I think there are minimal people, very, very small number of women who are happy to use abortion as a form of birth control. Minimal. This is not a common thing. It is definitely not a common thing. And anybody who thinks it is common, you just don't understand the statistics at all. It is uncommon. But I don't agree with doing that. I think at that point, if you really don't want the kid, have the pregnancy, have the child, adopt it out. There are plenty of other people who would really like to have a kid who can't have one. Give them a chance.
Yeah.
But there's definitely cases where the abortion is the better option over that still, because, the psychological reasons or the physical reasons that can partake. We've gone way off the beaten track now.
I know.
Anyway,
You were
thank
talking
you
to
so-
me. Abortion's going to come up.
It's going to come up.
That's my pet topic, where I'm just like, I live in the South and I'm afraid Roe v. Wade is going to go away in my country.
Well, I really actually would like to do a
it.
stream on abortion at some point, but it won't be as part of this. It'll be part of a communications video or something like that.
It's a different thing. Sorry, guys in the chat, everyone in the chat.
We've sort of gone off the track. But anyway, as I've already said, Julie and Junkshop are absolutely amazing. Please go subscribe to them. Please follow them on Twitter. Please tune in tomorrow for the stream with me, Jen Aldrich, and our own lovely Neil the 604 Atheist. It's going to be a lot of fun. There'll be a lot of swearing. There'll be a lot of cursing. There'll be a lot of crap. It's in general, but it's what you come to expect from me or Jen, so it'll be awesome. So yeah, love you all out there. Have an awesome day, night, afternoon, wee small hours of the morning, whatever the hell it is for you. And please, people, try not to choke on that selfie stick. Bye.
Bye.